Hello and welcome back to another Star Wars podcast, and today we'll be talking about the 30 weird things about Sith anatomy. Few movie villains have captivated fans like the Sith Order from Star Wars. The counterpart of this peace-seeking Jedi, the Sith used the dark side of the Force to gain immense power. Ruthless, ambitious, cruel, they're tough opponents who will stop at nothing to get what they want. Most Star Wars fans will know Darth Vader, Darth Mauls, Darth Sidious, and Darth Tyrannus, Count Dooku, from the movies. But the extended Star Wars universe is full of Sith Lords and ladies that possess powers beyond what you could imagine. The Sith have rich, extended backstories, and while some are simply put purely dark, others have much more complex personalities and stories. No matter which Sith you're thinking of, however, there is definitely a few weird things about them using the dark side of the Force. Comes with a price. Whether it's total or partial disfigurement, secret identities, outfits that keep people alive, or some other strange fact about the Dark Lords and ladies of the galaxy. There's always something interesting to say about the Sith. As a side note, this list will not mention Snoke from the prequels, as he is technically not a Sith Lord. Perhaps the reason they fascinate so many fans is that, in contrast to the Jedi and their seemingly restrictive rules, the Sith embody freedom to whatever you want. However, as you'll see in this list of 30 weird facts about the Sith, they are not as free as they seem. A Sith apprentice serves his or her master after all, and they are all trapped in an endless cycle of violence and hatred. Number 30. Their villainous eyes. Having yellow or snake-like eyes is a common trope in movie villains, and the Sith are no exception. Anakin's eyes turn orangey red when he becomes a Sith Lord. Darth Sidious' eyes are positively reptilian, and Darth Mauls' eyes are definitely spooky. Whether the scary Sith eyes are a result of anger or a side effect of using the dark side of the Force, they're a very noticeable Sith characteristic. Interestingly enough, some Sith seem to be able to hide their sinister eyes. Number 29. The effect of Sith lightning. Sith lightning is a tough weapon, an emanation of the dark side of the Force. So strong, it has the power to cause intense pain. In the movies, we mostly see Darth Sidious, Palpatine, use Sith lightning. We also get to see how devastating its effects are when Sidious's lightning is turned against him. He is then disfigured and no longer able to disguise himself as the benevolent Chancellor Palpatine. The Sith lightning transformed him to the point that his appearance now matches his twisted personality. Number 28. Darth Vader's burns. Darth Sidious's disfigurement is nothing next to Lord Vader's, or of course. The once handsome Darth Vader was not only disfigured, but also lost his limbs in a battle against his former master Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan left Vader half alive in Mustafar's lava, and the Sith Lord was grievously burned, forcing him to live the rest of his life in a metal suit that would take care of most of his bodily functions. Of course, this suit also makes Vader look fearsome and become an iconic villain costume. Number 27. Darth Maul's resurrection. Darth Maul fell to Obi-Wan Kenobi's hands during the battle in Naboo's power generator, right? Wrong. Thanks to the Star Wars Extended Universe, we learned that the Sith apprentice survived the encounter. He was able to use pure hatred to stay alive and get out of Naboo, despite having lost both his legs. Later on, he got mechanical legs, reappearing in the Rebels, the Clone Wars, and Solo. Looks like it's hard for Sith to keep all their limbs intact. Regardless, Maul is even scarier as a half-robot. Number 26. How buff Kylo Ren is. Not all Sith Lords and ladies get really disfigured or put in half. Kylo Ren has become something of an internet sensation since his shirtless scene in The Last Jedi. And really, can you blame the internet? Kylo's clearly been working out a lot apparently. However, there's a reason for the shirtless Kylo scene. It's meant to echo Anakin Skywalker's shirtless scenes in the Star Wars prequel. Both men are shown in a vulnerable moment. It also shows that Rey can see Kylo when their minds are linked. Number 25, Darth Sidious' secret identity. Darth Sidious first appears as a mysterious hooded figure until we learn his actual none other than Anakin's good friend, Chancellor Palpatine. Incredibly, one of the galaxy's most feared Sith Lords managed to make himself look like an innocent, benevolent man. That is, of course, until his true nature is revealed, but by then it's too late and Darth Sidious becomes the sinister emperor ruler of the galaxy. Number 24. No one knows Sidious's lightsaber form. There are 7 lightsaber forms, and most Jedi and Sith have their favorite. For instance, Darth Maul fights using the Juyo branch of form VII, which is a ferocious, aggressive, chaotic fighting style. Yoda and Qui-Gon Jinn favored the acrobatic form IV, also known as Artaru. Count Dooku used Form 2, the dueling form known as Makashi, but no one really knows which lightsaber form Sidious uses. It seems like the Sith Lord mixes several to create his own style. The only thing that's certain is that he's a fearsome opponent. Number 23. How Darth Vader eats. Because of the injuries he sustained during his fight against Obi-Wan on Mustafar, Darth Vader cannot eat normally. Makes sense if you ask us. Being gravely burned and beaten to within an inch of one's life tends to have a few consequences. He must nourish himself with the help of a nutritive paste. However, whether it's because the paste tastes horrible or because the Sith Lord simply has better things to do, he opts to receive his food via injections instead. Number 22. Vader can't survive without his suit for too long. Talking about Vader's injuries, his suit quite literally saved his life. In fact, it saves his life every day. The injuries he suffered were so great that the infamous suit and mask are the only thing that keeps him from falling apart. Vader can't really take off his suit as it takes care of a lot of his bodily functions, including his breathing, causing Vader's signature rasp. He can only take off part of his mask in a hyperbaric chamber, and then again, not for long. Number 21. Vader can't use Sith lightning because of his mechanical limbs. Not only does Darth Vader depend on his suit to survive, but his mechanical limbs are also somewhat of a problem when it comes to fighting. He can't raise his lightsaber above his head too much because of the sheer weight of the suit. And most importantly, he can't channel Sith lightning unlike his master Darth Sidious. Vader is never seen using this particular Sith power. That's probably because his artificial limbs don't allow him to. Instead, his signature move is the infamous Force Choke. Number 20. Sidious kept Vader from using his full abilities. Don't get me wrong, Darth Vader was an incredible, powerful fighter and Sith Lord, but he was actually capable of much, much more. He was meant to be the chosen one after all, the one who could bring balance to the Force. Sidious kept him from using his true abilities, which makes sense as Sith apprentices have a tendency to get rid of their masters to gain power. It makes one wonder how powerful the young Anakin could have grown had he not turned to the dark side. Number 19. Darth Plagueis' master wanted to possess him. Darth Plagueis the Wise was one of the few Sith Lords to prefer intellectual brilliance over physical power. He was, of course, tremendously powerful, he just didn't care for fighting much. His Sith master Darth Tenebros actively despised him and, sensing the end of his life, planned on possessing his apprentice to gain his body and stay alive. Unfortunately for him, Darth Plagueis ended him before he could do that. I wasn't lying about Sith and their tendency to get rid of their masters. Number 18. Sidious was only an apprentice in Phantom Menace. In fact, Darth Vader later met his end at the hands of his own apprentice, Darth Sidious. Darth Sidious was actually only an apprentice in the Phantom Menace, making his apprentice Darth Maul unlawful as per the Sith rule of two. More on that later. He got rid of his master while Plagueis was sleeping, becoming the galaxy's reigning Sith Lord, and later took on Darth Vader as his apprentice, only to, guess what, meet his end at Vader's hands in the Return of the Jedi. Number 17. Count Dooku. Darth Tyrannus was originally meant to be a woman. While the Star Wars sequels are full of amazing strong female protagonists, the earlier movies didn't feature that many women, especially among the Jedi and the Sith. But did you know that fan favorite villain Count Dooku was at some point meant to be a woman? George Lucas thought of a lot of different designs for Darth Tyrannus, as he also known some of them were female Sith ladies, which we can't deny would have been really awesome, even though Sir Christopher Lee's performance as Dooku is incredible. Number 16. Dooku's fight scenes are the result of a digital manipulation. Talking about Sir Christopher Lee, while the actor usually does his own fight scenes, digital manipulation had to be used for some of his fighting scenes. Of course, in his fight against Yoda, the Jedi Master was animated. Lee also had a stunt double for some scenes, and his face was digitally placed over the doubles. This makes sense, as even though Christopher Lee is a talented swordsman who prides himself on having done most of his fight scenes, he was 79 during the shooting. Number 15. Darth Revan. The struggle between light and dark personified. You might not know about Darth Revan if you haven't played Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. If you have, however, you know just how complex of a character he is. Revan was a former Jedi turned Sith Lord and then brainwashed into becoming a hero of the Republic. In other words, he's a true embodiment of the struggle between light and dark. His story is certainly worth looking into. He's both one of the coolest Jedi and the coolest Sith Lords out there. Number 14. Darth Sidious' first name is Sheev. Here's a fun fact for you. Darth Sidious' full name is Sheev Palpatine. In the movies, he mostly referred to as Chancellor Palpatine, Emperor Palpatine, or simply Palpatine, and then later on, Darth Sidious or the Emperor. Knowing his full name feels odd as it humanizes him in a way. It's a reminder that before becoming the vicious, cruel Emperor, he was once a regular, though ambitious, politician. Sheev Palpatine quickly abandoned his former identity to become one of the most fierce and powerful Sith the galaxy had ever known. Number 13. Darth Mauls' sometimes forgotten brother. Darth Maul had a brother named Savage Opress, though he was not really mentioned or seen in the movie. Savage Opress apprenticed with Darth Tyrannus Count Dooku in the Clone Wars. He was actually chosen by Dooku's former apprentice and former Jedi, Asajj Ventress, who wanted to get revenge against her old master. Opress is actually the one who helped his brother Maul regain his strength and survive after his encounter with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn on Naboo, so he actually had a pretty important role in the series. Number 12. The reason Sith lightsabers are red. Ever wondered why Jedi have to stick to the pastel colors for their lightsabers while Sith get arguably much cooler red lightsabers? It's because the crystals used to make lightsabers aren't naturally red. However, those lightsaber crystals can be turned red with the dark side of the Force. This is why most Sith prefer red blades. As for General Grievous, who wields green and blue lightsabers, he's not Force sensitive and as such not a Sith. His blades were the lightsabers of fallen Jedis he's fought. Number 11. Some Sith use Sith Sorcery. Did you know there was such thing as Sith Sorcery? There's a lot you can do with this dark side of the Force, according to Wikipedia. Sith magic can also known as Sith Sorcery, was an arcane expression of Force ability first developed and practiced by the original Sith species, through which they manipulated the power of the dark side, from necromancy to powerful illusions to force blasts and magical artifacts. Sith sorcery is an incredibly powerful use of the dark side of the Force. Number 10. We barely hear about Sith ladies. As I said earlier, there are very few Sith ladies. In fact, in the movies, none of the Sith we see or hear about are women. But there were Sith ladies, including Darth, who was none other than Darth Bane's apprentice until, you guessed it, she ended his life in a duel. It's a shame none of the Star Wars movies so far feature female Sith, especially since they've added new strong women protagonists in the sequels. It remains to be seen whether Qui-Ra will be revealed to be a Sith apprentice in the solo movies, however. Number 9, but some of the most powerful Sith were women. I've mentioned Darth Sidious, who was an incredibly powerful Sith sorceress, powerful enough to defeat Darth Bane, whom many consider to be one of the strongest Sith Lords to join the Order. Darth Traya, or Lady Traya, was also incredibly powerful, as well as Darth Talon, who had tattoos much like Darth Mauls. There were many others, like Lumaya, who before the Star Wars sequels became canon, turned Leia's son, Jacen Solo, to the dark side. Of course, this is a completely different story than the one you'll see on the big screen. Number 8. Darth Vader had a secret apprentice. Actually, that's not completely accurate, depending on which Star Wars story you're thinking about. Darth Vader actually had several apprentices. They had to be secret, of course, as technically being an apprentice himself. Vader had no right to train apprentices of his own. The most famous of the secret apprentices was Garren Mallet, otherwise known as Starkiller, whom Vader trained since childhood. Lumaya was also one of Vader's apprentices, and so was former Jedi Padawan Tayo. Of course, none of these apprentices are referenced in the movies. Darth Traya could drain others' life force. Darth Traya really was one of the most powerful members of the Sith Order, capable of using the Force to drain others' life force. She could also wield lightsabers with her mind, making her capable of fighting with several blades at once, and that's without using her hands. She's a great example, along with Darth Sidious, of how little the Star Wars movies show us of the dark side of the Force. Movies featuring characters like Darth Traya or Lady Traya would be really amazing. Number 6. Darth Nihilus was an actual embodiment of the dark side. Darth Nihilus is also an incredibly powerful Sith Lord, and some thought he would be featured in the sequels instead of Snoke, who, as I mentioned at the beginning, is not actually a Sith. He too could absorb others' life force. He was also known as the Lord of Hunger, and with his fearsome mask and spooky aura, he struck terror into the hearts of those who met him. Some say he's an actual embodiment of the dark side of the Force. He was even more corrupted than most Sith Lords in being of absolute darkness. Number 5. His mask was imbued with his dark energy. Darth Nihilus' mask may not have originally been essential to his survival, unlike Vader's, but Nihilus bound the fearsome mask to his spirit using the Force. His hunger consumed him and damaged his physical body, meaning he had to bind his essence to his robes, armor, and mask. Darth Nihilus' mask was the only remaining trace of the Sith Lord after his end, and it was still an intrinsically sinister object imbued with the Lord of Hunger's dark power. If worn, it would give you the wearer greater Force powers, but would also sway him or her towards the dark side. Number 4. One to embody power, one to crave it, the rule of 2. I've mentioned the rule of 2 before. It's an important part of the Sith law. It's even mentioned in the movies, as Sith are very destructive, violent, and power-hungry people. They can be in great numbers dangerous to others and to themselves. This is why Darth Bane created the rule of 2, the master and the apprentice, one to embody power and one to crave it. As we've seen over the course of this list, however, this rule got broken all the time. Number 3, Marco Ragno's spirit wandered the galaxies after his end. While Sith don't usually become Force ghosts, some of these most powerful Sith Lord spirits stuck around after their ends. In the movies, becoming a Force ghost is a Jedi-only thing, and we only see fallen Jedi come back as a holographic looking Force spirits. Even in the extended universe, Sith Force ghosts were rare. One of the most notable ones was Marco Ragnos, who was a brutal and especially bloodthirsty Sith Lord, and who wandered the galaxy and influenced other Siths even after his end. Number 2, Darth Sidious' extended universe powers. Darth Sidious is perhaps one of Star Wars' most powerful Sith Lords. After all, he became Emperor, ruled the galaxy, and almost succeeded in destroying the Jedi Order. Pretty impressive Sith resume if you ask us. Sidious is already incredibly powerful in the movies, but in the extended universe, his powers are almost godlike. Like, he can use his Sith magic, was nearly immortal, can control fire, and can tear a wormhole in space and time. Lightning can near perfect lightsaber dueling were already impressive, but you definitely don't want to mess with extended universe Sidious. Number 1, a Sith Gungan. Jar Jar Binks is a character from the Star Wars prequels that fans just love to hate, and arguably a big reason why people hated the prequels so much. He's also not as innocent as he seems, even though he's probably not smart enough to actually be sinister. He is instrumental in Palpatine's rise to power, as he suggests giving the Chancellor full power over the Senate. Furthermore, a 2015 theory saw Jar Jar as a Sith Lord who was only feigning idiocy to gain power. That is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Star Wars podcast on the Swarm Network, and I hope to see you later.